The early months of 1942 were a period of profound crisis for the United States. A relentless drumbeat of defeat echoed across two oceans. The public reeled from the thunderbolt at Pearl Harbor. They watched Japanese forces sweep across the Pacific. They heard grim news of U-boats sinking ships within sight of the East Coast. But a hidden war was already being waged, even as German overconfidence in their Enigma machine led them to add a fourth rotor, temporarily blinding Allied codebreakers. A desperate counteroffensive was taking shape. In nondescript buildings far from any battlefield, this was a war fought not with bullets and bombs, but with typewriters, pencils, and the relentless human mind. In the cavernous, poorly insulated Building B at Arlington Hall, the battle against the Japanese codes was a grinding, ceaseless effort. Dot Braden, one of the pencil-pushing mamas, who formed the backbone of this unseen army, sat hunched over a wooden table. Her daily routine was a testament to the war's meticulous, often maddening demands. She ran JT's cryptic groups of code against a vast, evolving bank of memorized patterns and recently broken codes. It was a painstaking, repetitive dance with numbers and symbols, each stroke of her pencil a tiny thrust against an invisible enemy. The messages themselves were telegraphic, stripped bare of anything but essential information. Maru, a ship name, a destination like Ambon or Rabaul, an embarkation or debarkation point. These were the critical stereotypes and indicators that Dot and her colleagues hunted for, the tiny threads that, if pulled correctly, could unravel an entire Japanese operations and demarcated Beckett. When an urgent message appeared, identified by a sono, a message part number, a discriminant, a system identifier, or a specific indicator, the pace in Building B ratcheted up. This wasn't a job for machines alone. These vital intercepts demanded intense human effort, a frantic dash to decipher by hand. Dot would make her way, sometimes at a run, to the overlappers unit, a hive of activity where women like Miriam worked. Miriam, a smart aleck New Yorker, with a quick wit and a diamond ring Dot suspected came from a fake fiancé, would receive the handoff. Here, the assembly line approach to cryptanalysis truly came alive. Messages, often ferried between units by a pneumatic tube system, were meticulously processed. A color-coded system tracked changes in Japanese codebooks, a silent semaphore guiding their desperate efforts. The air in these rooms, thick with the smell of brewing coffee and the nervous energy of concentrated minds, was often punctuated by the whirring of fans or the incessant snapping of gum. Yet, beneath the mundane surface of their work, these women carried a profound, unsettling knowledge. Marjorie Fader, working on the electric cipher machines, recalled the grim truth hidden within the incoming messages. The incoming messages were telling us very clearly that we were losing the war in the Pacific. Casualties were high, ships were going down, subs were lost. This stark reality, a brutal counterpoint to the often optimistic headlines in the newspapers, taught them about the insidious nature of propaganda and the brutal reality of a war that felt, in early 1942, increasingly unwinnable. The war's outcome hung in the balance, a desperate need for intelligence and manpower pressing down on every soul involved. In these secret rooms, with their weak droplights and perpetually drawn blackout curtains, women like Dot and Miriam were fighting a silent, relentless battle, their pencil pushing, a critical, often thankless act of defiance against a world in peril. The strategic landscape of World War II shifted dramatically as the United States, still reeling from the shock of Pearl Harbor, began to understand the paramount importance of a weapon largely absent from that devastating attack, the aircraft carrier. These floating airfields capable of projecting power across vast ocean expanses would become the linchpin of naval warfare, and their growing significance was starkly revealed in the spring of 1942. In early May, the Pacific erupted with the Battle of the Coral Sea, an unprecedented engagement where opposing fleets never saw each other. Instead, the fight was waged entirely by aircraft launched from their decks, American cryptanalysts tirelessly working against the complex Japanese JN-25 code had provided Admiral Nimitz with crucial intelligence, tipping him off to a Japanese fleet bearing down on Port Moresby. This vital forewarning allowed Allied forces to intercept and check Japanese expansion, a pivotal moment that underscored the burgeoning role of naval aviation and the indispensable often life-saving power of intelligence. These early successes, born from the relentless work of codebreakers, laid the foundation for an even more decisive confrontation to battle for an expensible, often debectory. The confirmation of AF as Midway, achieved through a brilliant deception operation, paved the way for the Battle of Midway, a victory that definitively halted Japan's offensive capabilities in the Pacific. This period of quiet triumphs irrevocably shattered the myth of Japanese invincibility, just as Allied codebreaking was beginning to expose the false sense of security surrounding Germany's supposedly impregnable Enigma cipher. The burgeoning demands of a two-ocean war, stretching American manpower to its limits, made the enlistment of women an urgent necessity of quiet. President Roosevelt, recognizing this imperative, signed the WAC Bill in May 1942, followed swiftly by the law creating the Women's Naval Reserve, the WAVS, in July. These legislative acts marked a turning point, opening the doors for thousands of women to contribute directly to the war effort. In the summer of 1942, a crucial expansion of the Navy's code-breaking efforts began, with Commander John Redman personally recruiting women from colleges across the nation. He sent urgent letters emphasizing the important work here waiting to be done. A hardy band of 74 survivors from institutions like Goucher and Bryn Mawr answered the call, arriving in Washington, D.C. in June and July. They traded the familiar comfort of campus life for punishingly hot downtown offices, dripping with sweat as the thin fabric of their neat dresses plastered to their skin. This injection of fresh talent was desperately needed, particularly in the ongoing, desperate, blind struggle against the German Shark cipher, which had temporarily blinded Allied intelligence in the Atlantic. By December 10, 1942, the Navy's code-breaking operation had grown so large it required a new home. The prestigious Mount Vernon Seminary campus, with its tree-lined grounds and deceptive tranquility, was seized and transformed into a top-secret intelligence facility at 3801 Nebraska Avenue. What was once a serene academic institution became a huge encampment of ugly temporary buildings, encircled by high fences and guarded by Marines recuperating from the horrors of Guadalcanal. Barracks D became the largest WAVS barracks in the world, symbolizing the profound shift in perception and the unprecedented integration of women into the highest levels of secret war work, despite lingering bureaucratic resistance and skepticism. Ultimately, women would comprise 80% of the force at USS Mount Vernon Seminary, reaching 4,000 individuals, their presence a testament to their indispensable role. The impact of their collective efforts resonated across the Pacific. The successful decryption of Admiral Isoroku Yamamoto's precise travel itinerary, a direct consequence of the breakthroughs in Japanese naval codes, led directly to his assassination in April 1943. This swift, decisive strike against the architect of Pearl Harbor marked a major turning point, a profound blow to Japanese morale and leadership. The relentless pace and immense pressure of code-breaking were punctuated by moments of pure elation. When a new code square was finally cracked, a breakthrough that could unlock weeks of enemy communications, the atmosphere in the code rooms transformed. One observer noted the great glee over the entire place, a burst of shared joy and relief that cut through the endless hours of painstaking analysis as in 20 seconds analysis of paces. It was a human reaction to a victory hard won, a testament to the intellectual and emotional investment in every deciphered message. In retrospect, the Battle of Midway stands as a decisive turning point in the Pacific, irrevocably halting Japanese offensive capabilities. Crucially, this period also marked the irreversible integration of women into intelligence roles, a movement that not only provided critical manpower, but also began to challenge deeply ingrained societal prejudices, forever altering the landscape of military service and national contribution. With the foundational breakthroughs in Japanese naval codes providing critical tactical advantages, the focus of the hidden war shifted, extending its reach into the very sinews of the Japanese Army's operational capacity. While the Navy's cryptanalytic victories, like Midway and Yamamoto's assassination, garnered the most attention, an equally vital yet often overlooked achievement was unfolding at Arlington Hall, the systematic dismantling of Japanese Army codes. This was a war fought largely by civilian women, a relentless intellectual assault that would provide invaluable intelligence for the brutal island-hopping campaigns to come. The initial decryption of the Japanese Army's address codes in early 1943 had provided the first crucial glimpse into enemy unit locations and identities and enemies' decryptions of the Japanese address, allowing US strategists to begin constructing a detailed order of battle. This success, born from the innovative non-hierarchical culture of Arlington Hall, where intellect trumped rank, laid the groundwork for the next even more devastating blow, the cracking of the 2468 Water Transport Code. In April 1 toes aid, even more devastating blow, the cracking country. This monumental achievement, which unlocked the routing of nearly every Japanese supply ship, transformed Arlington Hall into an unprecedented assembly line of intelligence. The assembly line of code-breaking was a marvel of wartime efficiency and human endurance. Department K, the unit primarily responsible for the 2468 system, swelled to 100 workers by July 10, 1943, operating around the clock in 3 grueling shifts. Women like Dot Braden, the pencil-pushing mama, were at the front lines, meticulously identifying gates, cryptic code groups, at their wooden tables. When an urgent message appeared, a flurry of activity would erupt. These vital intercepts, often containing stereotypes like Maru, a ship or specific embarkation or debarkation points, were then rushed via a pneumatic tube system to the overlappers unit, a hive of focused concentration. Here, women like Miriam, the smart aleck New Yorker, would perform the intense human effort required for decipherment, their quick wits and sharp eyes, sifting through the agonizing bits and pieces. Helen O'Rourke, who developed the overlap unit, ensured a seamless flow, while researchers like Crow delved deeper into the ever-evolving Japanese methods. Specialized training courses, focusing on Japanese vocabulary, the intricate kana script, and advanced decryption techniques, honed the skills of these cryptanalysts, dramatically boosting their efficiency. A color-coded system, a silent semaphore, tracked changes in Japanese codebooks, guiding their relentless pursuit. The work was demanding, requiring meticulous attention to detail through endless hours. Yet the pace was astonishing, where 10 days was once considered a good turnaround for a message solution. Some were later recovered in just 3, transforming raw intercepts into actionable intelligence at a speed previously unimaginable. The satirical poem, penned by M. Miller and A. August, celebrating the M.A.s, B.A.s, B.A.s, A's, Ph.D.s, candidates for SPE4, who, as pencil-pushing mamas, sank the shipping of Japan, captured the unique blend of high intellect and mundane reality that defined their work. The success of the 2468 code created an overwhelming and urgent demand for more personnel, pulling women from across the nation into this secret world. Yet the reality of the work often stood in stark contrast to the glamorous image portrayed by recruiters. Dot Braden, hunched over her wooden table in Building B, running gates against a vast bank of memorized patterns, found the intellectual challenge of the puzzle deeply satisfying. But her mind often drifted, a common escape from the relentless, often monotonous grind. She would trace the names of distant, exotic places on her notepad: Ambon, Rabaul, Saigon. These were not just destinations in a decoded message. They were vibrant, imagined worlds. Dot pictured Guam, a name that appeared with startling regularity in the intercepts. She saw not the dusty, isolated atoll of wartime reality, but a verdant tropical paradise ringed by turquoise waters, its air thick with the scent of frangipani and salt. She imagined the Japanese ships, the Morris, chugging towards this idyllic vision laden with supplies for soldiers who would never see the beauty she conjured. The stark disconnect between the anonymous, windowless rooms of Arlington Hall, filled with the smell of brewing coffee and the incessant snapping of gum, and the far-flung, brutal theatres of war, was a constant, unspoken truth. These pencil-pushing mamas were sinking ships and isolating armies from thousands of miles away, their only connection to the violence of the Pacific, a stream of numbers and symbols. This period, therefore, challenges the romanticized image of wartime service. Behind the public facade of unwavering patriotism lay a complex reality of bureaucratic machinations, recruitment tactics that stretched the call, truth, and intricate social dynamics within a highly secret facility. The challenges faced by these women, from the whirring fans and bad insulation to the petty bureaucracy and veiled resentment, from some male counterparts painted a picture far removed from the idealized narratives of heroism. Yet, it was within this crucible of pressure and paradox that the assembly line of intelligence truly came into its own. The systematic decryption of Japanese army codes, particularly the 2468 system, directly enabled the targeting of Japanese supply lines, providing crucial tactical information for the relentless island-hopping campaigns became further pressure. Commanders like General MacArthur and his Air Corps Chief, George C. Kenney, were no longer going in blind, instead possessing an unprecedented depth of knowledge about enemy movements and intentions. The women of Arlington Hall, with their relentless dedication and quiet brilliance, had built an arsenal of intellect, proving that the silent war of codes was as decisive as any battle fought on the high seas or distant shores. The silent war fought in the stifling heat of Arlington Hall, and the crowded offices of Mount Vernon Seminary had moved beyond mere breakthroughs. It had become a relentless, grinding engine of destruction for the Japanese Empire. The decryption of the 2468 Water Transport Code, spearheaded by the dedicated women of Department K, transformed intelligence into an invisible weapon, systematically dismantling Japan's lifelines across the vast Pacific. By November 1943, the impact was undeniable. That month alone marked the war's most devastating period for Japanese shipping, with American submarines, guided by the precise intelligence flowing from the code-breaking rooms, sinking 43 ships and damaging 22 more. The scale of the destruction mounted rapidly. By December, approximately 350,000 tons of Japanese shipping, including the escort carrier Chujo, had been sent to the seabed. This wasn't chance, it was a calibrated surgical strike. The women of Department K, hunched over their consoles, meticulously reading the noon positions of enemy convoys, provided the U.S. Navy with an almost clairvoyant advantage. In May 1944, their work directly led to the destruction of 4 convoy ships steaming toward New Guinea. For commanders like General MacArthur and his Air Corps Chief George C. Kenney, the era of going in blind was over. Never has a commander gone into battle knowing so much about the enemy, Kenney would later declare, reflecting on the Allied commander's unprecedented knowledge at ITAPE in July to declare, reflecting on the Allied commander's unprecedented knowledge. By mid-1944, the staggering tally showed over 2/3 of the entire Japanese merchant marine and numerous warships resting on the ocean floor. This wasn't just a numerical loss, it was a systemic collapse. Japan, an island nation, was being suffocated, cut off from the overseas raw materials and petroleum essential to its war machine. Its outlying bases, once formidable bastions, became isolated, their garrisons slowly starving. From 1943 onward, starvation became a common, agonizing reality for Japanese soldiers, with post-war estimates revealing that 2/3 of all Japanese military deaths resulted from a lack of food or medical supplies. For them had become a slow, agonizing death by attrition, orchestrated from thousands of miles away. The psychological toll on the Japanese was immense. A prisoner of war captured in early 1945 recounted a grim saying common in Singapore: one could walk from that port to Japan. On American periscopes, this chilling image captured the overwhelming sense of Allied naval omnipresence, a direct consequence of the intelligence that allowed American submarines to operate with devastating precision. The silent battle of wits continued, a relentless cat-and-mouse game. Japanese encipherment methods evolved, shifting from false math to squares in February 1944, introducing new additives and indicator patterns. But the codebreakers who met such challenges with great glee adapted with astonishing speed. Where a message solution once took 10 days, some were now recovered in just 3, transforming raw intercepts into actionable intelligence at a speed previously unimaginable. Despite the undeniable victories, the public remained largely unaware of the true architects of these successes. Naval triumphs were often attributed to superior seamanship or favorable winds, dismissed as chance encounters. Yet, within the intelligence community, the truth was starkly clear. Post-war reports, such as Commander C.A. Lockwood's assessment for the U.S. Pacific Fleet Submarine Force, definitively linked the successes of undersea warfare to the meticulous translation of Japanese code messages. The systematic work of these codebreakers, often hidden beneath layers of secrecy, proved that these naval victories were not strokes of luck, but the direct, calculated results of superior intelligence. This reality also served to challenge the pervasive notion that intelligence work was solely a male domain, implicitly underscoring the vital, yet often unacknowledged, contributions of the predominantly female workforce. As the war neared its brutal end, another crucial piece of the intelligence puzzle fell into place. In June 945, a codebook recovered on Okinawa provided complete translations of Japanese communications. This intelligence revealed with chilling clarity the extensive defensive preparations for the Japanese home islands, indicating that an invasion might incur an estimated 1 million Allied casualties. This stark projection, born from the meticulous work of codebreakers, would play a significant role in the agonizing decision to use the atomic bomb, ultimately saving countless Allied lives that would have been lost in a conventional invasion. The cumulative record of their achievements, if ever fully laid bare, would fill an immense archive of their achievements, if ever fully. Page after page, a somber, factual listing of Maru's sinkings, each entry a silent testament to the efficacy of human intellect against the complexities of enemy ciphers. The cold, hard data would speak volumes, revealing the true scale of destruction achieved through intelligence and towing that of four. The contributions of these codebreakers, particularly the largely female workforce, were instrumental in decisively shifting the naval balance of power, saving countless Allied lives and profoundly shaping the outcome of the Pacific War. Their vital work, performed in windowless rooms, far from the battlefields, remained a closely guarded secret for decades, their names and faces largely unrecognized, their heroic impact on history silently profound.